Thanks for staying with us. I'm Greg Gutfeld, and in the Law and Order segment tonight, Julian Assange has made a career out of publishing classified information, putting it all out on his infamous WikiLeaks website. Assange has been holed up for years at the Ecuadorian embassy in London, evading extradition to Sweden, where he is accused of rape. Attorney General Jeff Sessions was asked about Assange yesterday.
Can you talk about whether it's a priority for your department to arrest Assange once and for all, and whether you think you can take him down?
We are going to step up our effort, and already are stepping up our efforts on all leaks. This is a matter that's gone beyond anything I'm aware of. We have professionals that have been at the security business of the United States for many years that are shocked by the number of leaks, and some of them are quite serious. So, yes, it is a priority. We will seek to put some people in jail.
Joining us now from Richmond, Ken Cuccinelli, the former Attorney General of Virginia, and from Orlando, criminal defense attorney Whitney Boan. Whitney, I'll go to you first. I want to get this guy. I happen to think he's evil, bad, and wrong, but I have to ask you, how do you get this guy? I don't know.
Well, you know, it's going to be really difficult because he's not going to be extraditable. This is a political offense, espionage, and it's going to be really difficult when he's also, on top of the fact that he's in the UK, he's also in the Ecuadorian embassy. He's kind of untouchable there in terms of, unless we're going to go in there, we're going to storm, we're going to tear down the London Bridge, and we're going to storm into the Ecuadorian embassy to take him out of there and even subject him to prosecution here in the United States for any sort of crimes that Sessions may want to pursue through the U.S. Attorney's Office.
Ken, how do they do this?
We do have pretty often used extradition exchange with the British. But the real question is the Ecuadorians, because as you just heard, Assange has been holed up there for 5 years, avoiding rape charges from Sweden. And while Ecuador and Sweden apparently don't have an extradition treaty, I don't actually know whether we have one with Ecuador. I know we exchange drug offenders, cartel members, for instance, but I don't know whether they would go beyond that. And but first, the Justice Department has to make their case that Assange was somehow involved in leaking the classified information, not merely being the repository for someone who laid their hand all by themselves and then handed it to him to publish on his website. There is a big difference between those two potential fact patterns.
Right. It's a distinction between aiding and abetting and simply delivering material. I happen to think delivering material is pretty bad too. But Whitney, if you go after him, do you also go after the press who printed his stuff?
Right, and I mean, that's a big group to take on, and they are very well shrouded with First Amendment protection. And like Ken said, I mean, the First Amendment implications here are going to make it impossible to prosecute Assange simply for publishing this information on WikiLeaks. It's going to have to go beyond that to either prove that he knowingly published it, knowing that it would cause detriment to national security and to U.S. safety, or that he somehow colluded in stealing the information. They're not going to be able to prosecute him or WikiLeaks just for publishing the information. You're taking on a huge fight with the First Amendment that the U.S. Department of Justice is likely to lose. There's no precedent for that surviving on any appellate scrutiny.
Well, and Greg, if I could just add one comment, is that, you know, we talk about leaks and this or that. There is a distinction here. There's all other information and there's classified information. Leaking non-classified information very rarely has the potential for criminal implications. That is exactly the opposite when it comes to classified information, national security information.
Got it. All right. Do you think they have more evidence, Ken?
It sounds like they're developing more, but you know, until they're willing to make it public, we're all speculating.
Right.
Again, I don't think it's unreasonable to hypothesize about what would be necessary to prosecute someone like Assange for this, and that is some involvement in either the planning or execution of the stealing, and then the initial release by someone who had the clearance to get it in the first place of classified information.
Okay. Well, thank you, Mr. Cuccinelli, and Ms. Boan, thank you too. Up next.